up though, thanks to Need a Car, please meet Lyle and Lucy Stewart's Lola. Sure, she might have a cute name, but this 32 Coupe is all hot rod.
Everything that you can see has an absolute purpose. I'm not a fan of cars that are completely covered and beautifully refined, because to me there's no details to see, where Lola is completely covered in details. Exposed blower and all that, it's just full-on hot rod. It's got a very aggressive roof chop, 4-inch roof chop, which is more than normal for a 32. All the exposed engine is just beautiful, all that polished aluminium. Candy red, intense candy red, metal flake in that, it just looks fantastic. So stance, roof chop, and the aggressiveness of all the blower, form over function. Has to work, but it's got to look good. I've always had an interest in cars and hot rodding. As life went on, hot rods never sort of ever featured. Money was always going on, you know, houses, family, car, you know, kids and all the day-to-day stuff of life, and then reached the age where my mum died of cancer, and I thought, well, it's actually time to get on with things that I need to do, because I don't know how long life is. I'm passionate about quite a lot of different cars. There's cars from the 60s and the 50s and probably early 70s. There's all sorts of things I'm really interested in, but it struck me that I never wanted to forget I was driving a hot rod.
An engineer by trade, sure, Lyle had the skill set to piece together a car from scratch, but with the childhood dream relegated to the back burner for so long, he and Lucy decided not to waste any more time or money, taking perhaps the more economically sensible route of hunting for a car ready to roll. And after a few months trawling the Trade Me listings, Lyle found one that ticked all the right boxes.
I was drawn to the car because it just screams hot rod, so I gave the guy a ring, Mal Hurrell from Rolleston, down Christchurch way. We jumped on a plane, flew down, spent a day with Mal, great guy, went through the history of the car, did the deal. The next day we did the Christchurch Rod and Customs 10th anniversary run in the car, which was great with them, and then my son and I did a road trip back to Wellington, which was absolutely fantastic.
Sadly, the fantastic stage of ownership would be short-lived.
3 years ago, cruised Martinborough. The day before it, I was taking the car down for a warrant. Had a what turned out to be a right front blowout, which spun me around on the Wellington motorway, wrapped around through the wire fences, down the road on sliding on the beam axle into the bank on the other side. The only parts of the car that weren't damaged in some ways was the glass and the drive shaft. Pretty much everything else was either completely toast or was needed repair.
Faced with such an intensive rebuild, many rodders might have taken the opportunity to make the car their own, making changes for the sake of making changes, but not Lyle and Lucy. The car was shipped to Magoo's Street Rods in Masterton for repair, where instead of unnecessarily slicing and dicing a good car, a plan was hatched that would retain the 32's original design cues and styling, opting instead for more subtle refinements to stamp their ownership, such as the ghost flames applied to the coupe's guards.
Even though it's a fiberglass replica car, all cars have history the minute they're built. This car had history with Mel for about 8 years down in Rolleston. It was important to me to try and keep that history, but I wanted to personalise the car a bit to suit myself during the rebuild. Wheels and tyres are completely different and paint's different, and there's a number of other subtle things, but on the whole it's the same car, and I think, you know, I've come out with a better car after the process, but it's not something I'd recommend to anyone to go through. It was not much fun at all, I'm afraid.
Surviving the wire barrier shredder mostly unscathed was the power plant, a mild 350 cube Chev force-fed by a 671 blower topped by twin 450 Hollies. The same couldn't be said for the Trans, and its replacement would provide its fair share of headaches too, before the TCI Street Fighter Turbo 400 was finally rebuilt locally by Chuck Mann. The 9-inch diff also got the treatment, copping a new 3.0 to 1 head, Eaton True Track, and custom 31 spline axles. What would replace the trashed torque thrusts was a subject of much debate, eventually Lyle opting for a set of American racing hobsters. A drilled Superbell dropped axle leads the charge up front, while out back, 48 Chev-style taillights were integrated. Pretty major stuff. However, this setback hasn't deterred the Stewarts one bit. The coupe has clocked up some 8,000 miles since the rebuild.
She drives beautifully. There's no rattles, no shakes, no bangs. Isn't the most modern suspension system. Drives really nicely, handles most roads, goes around corners really nicely, but they have their limitations, you know, you've got to take that as it's just part of hot rodding. They're not modern cars. Pick a nice windy road somewhere and any modern car will be definitely quicker over that road without a problem.
And while for Lyle, a kid who saved his pocket money to buy hot rod mags, the chance to get behind the wheel of his own Deuce coupe was a long time coming, he and Lucy have more than made up for it since. They've thrown themselves head first into the hobby and are loving every minute of it.
She has got her own personality. We really enjoy her and it's really nice seeing other people enjoy her as well. We've met many people who will be lifelong friends. It's just been astonishing. It's been an extraordinarily rewarding lifestyle change for us, and I'd never want to go back. It's absolutely good fun.